Hey there, friends, foes, fans, weird internet stalkers of the Phoenix Sisters. Welcome to this week's episode of Gilmore Sisters, a Rant Podcast. This week's topic is jalapeno mac and cheese, which we made tonight, and also how nobody does anything halfway anywhere in Stars Hollow. So we'll get down to business right after this.
La 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 la. Gilmore Sisters.
Gilmore Sisters is a Phoenix Sisters cosplay production and is hosted by the Cereal Box Network. Pokeballs by Crayle is your one-stop shop for handmade magical creations that celebrate all the Pokemon universe has to offer. Available on CrayleVanest.com, that's CrayleVanest.com, and possibly coming to a con near you. One nightmare destroyed Aidan O'Donnell. Aidan Gray, aka Scorcher, was born out of those ashes. The Forces of Nature trilogy is about the destructive powers of having superpowers that you don't understand and can't control. It's about redemption, about finding love and finding yourself. You can find the first two books, Scorcher and Thin Ice, online wherever books are sold. You can also pre-order the upcoming audiobook for Scorcher at www.kellyguentner.com. That's www.KELLYGUENTNER.
So, Kelly, what'd you think of the green mac and cheese we ate tonight?
It was so good. We are doing Eat Like a Gilmore while Crayle is visiting. So this is the unofficial Gilmore Girls cookbook. There is an official Gilmore Girls cookbook, but unfortunately, that one's a little harder to track down because apparently they only printed so many. Also, it's way more expensive because of it being harder to track down. So we got the unofficial cookbook by Christy Carlson. It is fantastic. And oh my gosh, yeah, the jalapeno mac and cheese is great. And gotta tell you, I am the whitest white girl you will ever meet. I cannot do spice, but Crayle took the seeds out of the jalapenos for me, and it was not spicy.
Yeah, I did. And if you like spicy, you can make it spicier. You can add more chipotle or more jalapeno. But if you just do like the recommended amount in the recipe and also Google what shape of jalapenos are spicier because it's like the long skinny ones versus the short fat ones. I have to look it up every single time because I get it backwards, but you can sort of kind of judge the spice level of your jalapenos when you're buying them that way. Um,
It also wasn't even that green because of how low spice Crayle made it, but I'm pretty sure picky kids still want to eat it. We did not have a side of carrots that tasted like diapers.
So if you're going, why are we talking about jalapeno mac and cheese? Because you're not as insane as us and you've only seen every episode 3 times or 4 times instead of 100. Okay, so there was a Lord of the Rings birthday party while Sookie and Lorelai were in between not working at the Independence End anymore, but hadn't opened the Dragonfly yet. And Sookie volunteered them to cater a birthday party and Lorelai to plan this big like Lord of the Rings themed event.
Which sounds amazing, by the way. That is what I want for my next birthday party, Crayle.
No.
Please.
Well, I mean, I would have to only do it halfway. We don't live in Stars Hollow, so that's an option.
Damn it.
This party was so insane, and that's what we're talking about. Like the whole episode, that subplot is about the fact that Sookie made a bunch of gourmet food for a birthday party of mostly children, and she wanted to have chafing dishes out and real cloth tablecloths and stuff.
For
And
children. How old were those kids?
I don't know. They looked like they were between 8 and 11. I don't know. There was a lot
Yeah.
of kids. We've decided there were like 60 kids at this party. We don't think there are even 60 kids in that age range in Stars Hollow. We think people from the Stars Hollow like tourism committee pulled a Taylor Dosey and drove to neighboring towns and were like, come to gorgeous Stars Hollow where we have the best birthday parties, way better than in Woodbridge.
Actually, my husband Thomas suggested that they probably just roll up to an orphanage and borrowed some orphans, which got dark really fast. But you know what? That's how we roll.
Right. No, they took all the kids who walked into the fairy ring in Babette and Maury's house and transported them to the Lord of the Rings birthday party.
You know what? That checks out.
Okay, and so the kids' food that Sookie made was macaroni and cheese, she said. And then Lorelai just stares at her waiting, and she goes, "Okay, with a jalapeno chipotle cream sauce." So that's what we made, right? And
And it was amazing.
But what's funny about that entire plot line is everybody's like, wow, Sookie's so extra. But that whole party was so extra. Like most of the time I would be with Lorelai where I'd be like, no, the kids won't even try that. It's green. It looks weird. It doesn't look like the way they expect mac and cheese to eat. But these kids have grown up in or near Stars Hollow where everything is so extra and weird that on a weekday that is Erin's actual birthday somehow, and I'm pretty sure it's during the school year, so I don't
Yeah.
so the parents were all doing this after having picked their kids up and knowing that they're gonna have to go through like the whole early bedtime routine and stuff after the kids have been all
And
worked
they
up.
were watching the Lord of the Rings movies, which we know is not short.
So, like, even if they only watched Return of the King, because I think that's the one they showed a clip of, that's still, I mean, the theatrical release was at like 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And so like what time do kids go to bed and start? You know what though? They're fairies, so nobody needs to sleep. That's why.
Right. Sleep is for the undercaffeinated. That was one of our first episodes. If you want to talk about weird Stars Hollow sleeping habits, go look up Gilmore Sisters. Sleep is for the undercaffeinated. But that whole party was so no one anywhere in Stars Hollow does anything halfway
Like
ever.
who is spending that much money on who is hiring a party planner for a child's birthday party?
To where she had elf ears for like all 60 kids and green cloaks for like all 60 kids and bows and
And wasn't she doing
props.
face painting or something?
Something like that, I think. It was
It was a whole thing, which how does face painting tie in with Lord of the Rings? I don't even know. But it was a big party and like why?
who caters a children's birthday party? I
Yeah. So yeah, no one in Stars Hollow does anything halfway.
like this is a kid that I don't know if the birthday boy Aaron was ever even actually on the screen, okay? Like
The whole point of the party was just for Sookie to have a big meltdown about how she doesn't know how to be a mom because she basically cooks food that kids don't like to eat, and then she yells at a child who
interrupted them.
yeah,
Which
mhm. So yeah, that's our rant.
yeah, it's just nobody does anything halfway. Like even this random dad shows up. One of the moms comes by and is like, "Hey, hey Lorelai, some of the kids are asking for swords. You didn't bring swords, did you?" And Lorelai's like, "No, I thought that would be a bad idea. They would all hit each other." And the mom was so relieved. And like 1 second later, some dad shows up and starts pulling armloads of fake wooden swords. His like so far as we know, this is just a dad of one of the kids at the party who was like, I'm gonna bring 60 fake wooden swords to this birthday party because
Why?
no one does anything halfway. No one.
Yep, that's because everyone in Stars Hollow is crazy fairies. Crazy. Okay. Yes.
Well, and I mean, it makes sense when Rory throws Lorelai the party that's supposed to have the world's biggest pizza at it and stuff like that. Like she grew up in this environment where apparently parties, like birthday parties especially, are just a really big deal. And I feel like the whole town was in on like hiding that from Lorelai, and she had like clandestine phone calls with the pizza guy that she knows by first name, and Everybody wants to know about Kirk's cheese-related injuries
Oh,
because they're all in each other's business and they're all way too extra. So,
yeah. What was in the water in Stars Hollow? That's what I want to know.
well, we know there was almost certainly fluoride. I feel like Taylor would have seen to that. He would have been one of the first people on the put fluoride in the public drinking water train. I'm sorry, that just sounds like a Taylor Dosey
Yes,
Public Works
yes,
project.
yes. So, yep, that's Stars Hollow in a nutshell. It's wild and extra and super fun. And I still want a Lord of the Rings birthday party that is not filled with 60 kids, but I will totally take that jalapeno mac and cheese. It was delicious. So if you all have made anything from any of the Gilmore cookbooks that are out there, we want to hear about it.
Well, yeah, although I cannot make you a 4-layer chocolate cake with rum raisin icing and a tropical fruit ganache, partially because I'm allergic to too many ingredients in that cake. Like,
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And yeah, I we are going to try another recipe, but I stupidly picked Sookie's duck with the orange chocolate sauce and forgot that Crayle is allergic to orange. So we're going to be modifying that. We will report back next episode. So until then, Crayle, do you have any other thoughts?
I mean, I've got one more tip if you're going to look up the recipe for the macaroni and cheese or buy that book, which is so we substituted the like grate your own cheese for shredded cheese. And something that if you're not like a cook, you might not know is that shredded cheese, like pre-shredded in the bag, has a sort of waxy substance on it to keep it from melting and sticking together so that it stays shredded. And that does mean when you go to melt it into like a sauce or anything, instead of becoming liquid, it sort of becomes like a cheese pancake in the pan. It still tasted amazing, but it was harder to pour and it did make the recipe take a little longer. So if you don't have a cheese grater because you're like, that's such a single purpose thing that I'm never going to use again, take some string and take like a block of cheese and cut the cheese up really tiny with the string. Um, and melt it a little bit into the sauce that way. Like I said, the flavor was still absolutely fine. But if you want that like texture, like when Sookie pulls it out of the oven and shows it, and if you don't want there to be like clumps of cheese on top of it, make sure you grate your own cheese or slice up with the string your own cheese. So.
And that is a tip from Chef Crayle, who is one of the best chefs, but not the best because Sookie holds that right.
Well, and then apparently my husband is above me. If you ask everybody in my family wouldn't try things that had like
He's
large
Cuban.
chunks of vegetable or too many seasonings in them for the longest time, but it would have been rude for them not to eat David's food. So then now they're all convinced he's a better cook than me. And I'm like, look, you guys wouldn't eat my food for 28 years. Like,
Confirmation bias.
yeah.
So again, thank you all for listening. Let us know what recipes you've tried and which ones we should make because we definitely want to make more recipes.
Also, let us know if you can think of a time that somebody did something super halfway in Stars Hollow, like just totally phoned it in, because we cannot think of an example.
Jess doesn't count, by the way.
No, Jess doesn't count. He
He's
doesn't claim Stars Hollow.
no, he absolutely does not. And if you liked this episode and you want to support us and you want to fund more recipe tryouts because ingredients aren't free, you can go to support the Gilmore Sisters podcast and the other Cereal Box Network shows by going to buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod.
That's buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod.
So we hope you have a magical Stars Hollow day. Stay away from those fairy rings.